Uneven chest is one of the hardest asymmetries to make progress with. And the biggest reason for this is that most people think this has to do with differences in muscle size, when in reality, this is actually usually reflective of underlying postural imbalance. Now, as a doctor of physical therapy, I work full-time helping people to improve asymmetries and move and feel their best, and I've also dealt personally with uneven chest for years. And because of this unique insight, I understand what does and doesn't work when it comes to improving this asymmetry of uneven chest. So in this video, we're going to talk about what the actual root postural cause of uneven chest is, and then we're going to go through two scenarios. And if you've already tried to watch videos and demo exercises and it just hasn't helped you resolve these underlying asymmetries, you're definitely going to want to pay attention to these two scenarios and parse out which of these you fit into. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. So uneven chest is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's when you have a difference in the appearance of the chest from left to right. And most commonly here, what you're going to see is a right side that is quite compressed down, giving the appearance of a smaller pec and chest on the right when compared to the left. So you have this appearance of a nice full left side and then a little bit of a sunken back right side. And the reason for that, once again, is that as humans, we're naturally asymmetrical and we tend to compress the right side of the body more so than the left side of the body. So with that being said, a lot of the common advice out there is just simply to expand to the right side and to compress the left side. And while this will work for some people, we need to understand that we can compress the right side of the chest in two ways, and how we do that is going to affect what interventions will be effective. So the first of these scenarios is where this chest is going to be kind of pulled down like this. The right shoulder will be lower, and these ribs are all going to be closer together just because we're over our right leg a little bit more and we're holding more tension overall in the right side of the body. If this is the case, simply doing exercises that open up the right side and close down the left side will be sufficient. Now, there's another scenario here that's a little bit trickier, and it's going to be where the compression in the right side of the rib cage is actually coming from above. So if we are using the right side of our neck muscles, particularly our right trap muscles that come through here, our right sternocleidomastoid that comes through here, as well as the scalene muscles and even the subclavius, then we're actually compressing that chest from the top down. What often happens here is that we're actually going to have a left shoulder that's lower than the right shoulder. This entire rib cage is going to be lifted up like this, or what we might see is that we have even shoulders, but a head and neck that are actually slightly cocked over to the right like this. Now, the problem with this is if we have this head and neck with this either higher right shoulder or squared shoulders and the head over to the right, and we go to open up the right side of the rib cage, often what we end up doing is we just orient this entire system, which is already tight and compressed in this upper right chest, and we just tip it over to the left. Now, in this case, we don't actually get any expansion or shape change within the rib cage, and a lot of times we just reinforce this pattern of activation that caused the compressed chest and the uneven chest in the first place. So just to review, if you're the person with the right shoulder lower, then what you probably have to do is just expand the right chest and compress the left. We're going to get to that in exercises 2 and 3. So if that's you, then go ahead and skip to those and give those a shot. Now, if you're that other person who is driving that compression from their neck, you're either going to see a right shoulder higher than left with a head that's in neutral, or you're going to see a right shoulder that's either even or slightly lower, but with a head and neck that's slightly cocked to the right. In this case, what we have to do is we have to do an additional step here of bringing the head back to the left, engaging the left side of the neck, and then we can progress from there to expanding the right side and compressing the left side. So let's go ahead. We're going to start off by addressing this second scenario, and then from there you can continue on with the usual progression in exercises 2 and 3. All right, so for this first exercise, we're going to work on engaging the left neck here with the rib cage in neutral. So step 1, we're going to take this right side here that's sagging down, and we're actually going to pull it up until the shoulders and the hips are square. Then from here, we're going to practice actually bringing our ear on the left down towards the clavicle slightly and feeling that left neck engage. Now, as we go through the breathing here, we're going to keep the left neck engaged as we take that breath in, and we're going to start to feel some expansion here in the right chest wall. So we're going to take that breath in, left neck engaged, And we should feel some air moving here into that right chest space. Now on exhale, we're going to exhale and gently draw our abs in here on the right side and gently tuck those ribs in on the right side as well. Exhale. And this will slightly dip the right shoulder down a little bit. And when this happens, if we can kind of keep the neck over to the left, we're going to feel this right side of the neck open up, or at least maintain that open position. Then from here, we'll once again do our inhale, a little bit of engagement here in the left neck, a little bit of engagement here in the right obliques. And that's going to force air to come up into this right chest wall and expand this area a little bit. Now, once we do this, we can progress to exercises 2 and 3. So the purpose of this exercise is going to be to globally compress the left side of the body and open up the right side of the body. Now, if you were that first person that tended to overuse the right side of your neck, then you're going to want to gently use that cue of pulling the ear down towards that clavicle and maintain that throughout. If not, you probably don't have to worry about this as much. Now from here, we're going to get elbow, hand, hip, as well as foot all contacting. We're going to drive down the outer heel of the bottom foot, in this case the left. We're also going to dig that left hip in as well as push through the elbow. Once we're here, we should already start to feel oblique activation, and then we can emphasize that by doing a little bit of an exhale, even turning slightly down towards the table, or even reaching with the right arm. This is all going to help to squeeze that left side of the body. So pushing through outer heel, elbow, hand, hip, as well as a slight turn and a reach on the exhale. Then once we feel activation in the left side of the body, we're going to then raise the right arm slightly higher up overhead, and we're going to take a nice breath in. This is going to help expand the entire right side of the chest wall, and then we can reinforce those same cues that we used a second ago on our next exhale. Exhale, push through elbow, hand, hip, and outer heel of the bottom foot. Inhale, reaching up with the right. And then we're going to repeat that. And again, if you were that person who needed that additional cue, you're going to be thinking about bringing that left ear down towards your clavicle throughout to maintain that right neck in an open position. Take a breath in. Exhale, reach, and then repeat. All right, so this third exercise is one of many that we could choose. And the idea here is to choose an exercise that will allow us to expand this right chest area. So you can accomplish this with basically any kind of pullover or tricep type exercise, but this presupposes that you have good awareness and control of how that rib cage and head are going to be positioned with respect to each other. Now, once you have that skill, we're then simply going to keep the rib cage relatively down against the table here. So you should feel the lower part of your rib cage nice and secure against the table. You're going to take a breath in as you allow the weight to travel back, either keeping your elbow straight or bent. In this case, we're going to elect for straight. And then we're going to exhale to return to the start. Now, if you're that person who needed a little bit of left neck activation, I suggest you also integrate that as you go through your inhalation phase here. If not, just make sure your rib cage is square and that your head is in relatively good alignment. So we're going to inhale on the way back, going only as far as we can before the chest feels like it starts to lift off the table. Then you're going to exhale and return to the start. Inhale back, opening up in that chest wall, then exhale to return. Inhale back, and exhale to return. All right, so now that we've covered the exercises, let's talk about how we might integrate this into a program. And really, integrate is the key word here, because we talked about looking at our position and then kind of isolating out what moves we have to do within the body to get into a more neutral and balanced position. But once we're there, we then have to take this neutral balanced position and load it so we can get things to stick. So with that being said, the exercises that we choose after this aren't necessarily that important, right? We can take those initial exercises that we use to develop those skills, use them maybe as a warm-up or like an off-day routine to just improve that awareness, and then we take that awareness and integrate them into our normal activities that we might do in the gym. Now, as you're doing them in the gym, you want to see if you're able to maintain that position, then you want to understand the context around that. So is it at a certain amount of load? Is it at a certain amount of reps, a certain amount of fatigue that then you kind of default back to your old patterns, or are you able to maintain it? So I dive into this in much greater depth inside my program Total Body Restoration, as well as in my one-on-one virtual coaching. So if you want to dive deeper, go ahead and check out the links in the description. But that does it for this video. As always, thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate it. If this was helpful, like, comment, share, subscribe, all those things helps to boost the algorithm to help me help more people. So thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, peace.